Hello, good people. Hello, and welcome back to another car conversation with Shauna Vaughn, or Make America Think Again, depending upon where you are hearing my face or hearing my face, hearing my voice or seeing my face. So welcome everyone, whether you are, I don't know, SoundCloud, iTunes, many of the podcast platforms, or you right here with me on YouTube. So yes, I want to get started today. First of all, I want you to check out my t-shirt. It says love her. I don't know, I can't get it out on the screen. But it says love her. I have several of these. One's respect her, one is protect her, which women need protecting in this moment. We so need protecting and more love. So the company, it does not benefit me at all. The company is Definitive Style Exclusive. It's a company out of Detroit, Black owned. I bought several of these t-shirts back during COVID, actually. I bought several of these t-shirts and I love them. They fit perfectly and they say exactly what I want them to say. All right, so here's what I have to say. Here's what I wanted to say to you. Let's recap what happened last week, what happened over the weekend with the No Kings protest. Let's start off with the No Kings protest because that's a positive. That was a positive thing that happened across America. So what you saw was millions of Americans. I think the estimate is about 5 million or so come out, flood the streets in cities that are typically, that you commonly expect. But there were a lot of cities that I did not expect to see the vast numbers of people that flooded the streets in, like Indianapolis, which, I got a lot of relatives there. My home state, my one of my home states. I'll put it that way. It's complicated. Well, not really, but anyways, let's move on. So Indianapolis, Dallas has historically been much more conservative than Houston, where I'm from, where I was raised. It just astonishing. The numbers that were in Dallas in the streets, I was like, wow, yes. Denver, Salt Lake City, Boise, Boise, Idaho. I don't know what just happened there. Boise, Idaho. Oh my God, I did just blew my mind. Ann Arbor, Michigan, St. Paul. And then of course your usual suspects, New York, Philly, LA, Chicago, Miami. Fort Lauderdale was there. Like we saw numbers, huge numbers everywhere. So kudos to everyone who took to the streets and participated in the No King's Day protest. And also what we have seen from that, what we have seen come out of the protesters, somebody's a little sore, somebody's a little upset. Number one, I believe because his little vanity parade was just so sad. It was so sad and pathetic. Did you all see the video with the creaky tank? The tank was going down the street. It was so quiet at this parade. I've never been to a parade that is quiet. This was just baffling to me. Completely quiet, completely silent, so much so that you could hear the creaking of the wheels on the military tank as it went down the street. You could hear that as the tank was going down the street. So his vanity parade was sad. You had military that were out of step. And what I have been told, or the information I've received, is that that was intentional. That was like their silent protest because they didn't want to participate in that shit. So they didn't have on their formal garb. They were out of step. It looked all, and I remember when I first saw the clip of it, before I even received this information that this might have been intentional, I was like, oh, they look a little wonky. Like, people are off. Like, what's going on? Now, y'all know all military, they practice that marching and that step. They have it down to precision. So there's no reason for what we saw on Saturday, other than, in my opinion, that it was intentional. So you saw the little small crowds. I think it's estimated that about 200,000 gathered in DC for his little sad parade. Poor little Tink Tink, Poor little Tink Tink in his parade. So he woke up mad. Actually, I don't think he ever went to sleep because I believe that he sent this tweet or truth, what he believes to be truth, out last night. But, just he gave out this order to ramp up the already amped up uh, immigration enforcement, these raids. So what I saw this morning was highly, very, very disturbing. So first of all, let me back up a little bit. So y'all know prior to the No Kings protest in LA, in Los Angeles, we had Felon 47 took over the National Guard. So we had National Guard here. And then also Felon 47 ordered Pete Hegseth to send Marines here. So there are Marines that have boots on the ground here. About 500 to 700 is the estimate that we've been given. I have not received an accurate number. And then we also have the National Guard that is here, unnecessarily here. They're doing nothing. Well, they've been doing some devious things, especially during the No King's Day protest. Again, all the violence, all the inciting of any violence, I've seen consistently come from law enforcement side. We had the first civilian, actually, he's a veteran arrested or detained by a member of the Marines that's here in Los Angeles. First of all, that's a no-no. The Marines are not supposed to be involved in anything like that. They are not supposed to be here apprehending anyone. And then this morning I saw out of Compton, California, someone got a video from their window of some military styled, it wasn't like a huge tank, but some military styled vehicle in someone's backyard in Compton, California. A military person came out of it, opened the top and came out of it as if it was a tank, but it was too small to be a tank. But came out of it and started shooting one of those guns that shoots the rubber bullets, started aiming that at the house. And then what was in this story, this is LA Times, you can look it up yourself, was that about 7 people, I believe, were arrested and detained and taken away from that home. That was this morning in Los Angeles. So you have military that, first of all, do not need to be here, should not be here. And if they are here, what their purpose is supposed to be is guarding 2 federal buildings. I talked about this in the last video. 2 federal buildings, one in downtown LA, the other one is in Westwood, which Westwood is a wealthy area. Like, ain't shit going down in Westwood without somebody getting arrested. It's just not happening. So that's what they are supposed to be here for. But now you have, or we saw this morning, them showing up in someone's backyard in Compton, California. What's that all about? What is that all about? So yeah, apparently over the weekend, we saw that they, and this is across the country, I'm not just talking about in LA, they went in and raided nail salons, flea markets, churches, restaurants, car washes. We saw them last week here in California in Ventura County, chasing folks through strawberry fields. They are also using helicopters and the drones. Remember those mysterious drones that people were seeing over New Jersey? I believe there were some that were sighted over San Diego as well. There was just a sprinkle of them across America. Do you remember that moment where everybody was like, what's going on with the drones? What are these drones? What are these unidentified objects? And then as soon as Felon 47's administration came in, KKK Caroline, she shut down every question that came in that press briefing room. She shut every question down that pertained to the drones immediately. Well, guess what? The drones are back. So I am only to deduce that when we were seeing the unidentified objects in the sky, and everybody was asking the question about who is controlling these drones and things, they were practicing. They were practicing for this moment. That is what I would deduce from this situation. So the drones are back. Black Hawk helicopters were used last week with folks that work out in the fields in Ventura County. So they're all over the place, folks. They're all over the place. And I also want to remind you, in the big bullshit bill, go back and view the video that I posted for you. That's all about the bill. But in that big bullshit bill, there is money allotted for surveillance, AI surveillance. And also, because this is Peter Thiel that wants his contract, right? To surveil and collect data on all Americans and build files on all Americans, but also no limitations on AI advancement for 10 years. Okay, let me rephrase that. How it's written in the bill is there can be no legislation written for monitoring or restricting AI. That is in the big bullshit bill. So you hear a lot of conversation about Medicaid and Medicare and people getting thrown off of their insurance. But remember, there are some other details in that big bullshit bill that we all need to be paying attention to. And AI is one of them. Surveillance is one of them. These damn drones that they're using is one of them. All right, last week also we saw Alex Padilla. Senator Alex Padilla wrestled to the ground, handcuffed and detained. And we saw this because he went into a room where Christy Puppy Killer Gnome, was giving a press conference. He clearly identifies himself when he begins speaking. So that's the first lie that they told. And she immediately scurried her little ass over to a phone news reporter, and lied. But the first thing that came out of his mouth was, I am Senator Alex Padilla, and I have some questions. And then he's wrestled to the ground and he's dragged out of the room. And he's wrestled, he's dragged out of the room, and then he's thrown to the ground and forced to put his hands behind his back. And then he's zip tied or handcuffed. And what I want to remind you is, here's where we are now. Where we are now is there was first the judge, there was Mayor Baraka, and now we have two Congress members who have been detained by Homeland Security. Two. So if they are willing to do whatever they want to do with a sitting judge, with a mayor, and with two Congress members, what do you think they will do when you question them? When you try to basically protect a person from being arrested or apprehended. When you as a mayor are doing your job and going and trying to check the conditions of a facility, a detention center, with people who are supposed to do that job, when you are merely going with them and trying to seek access to the said facility, and you are apprehended, but you're doing your job. You're doing your job. And that judge out of, I believe, Michigan, she was doing her job as well. The individual that was in her court, whatever purpose or reason that they were in that court, it was all dismissed. And she simply allowed that person to go out the back because she knew what the hell was going on in the hallway. I believe. Now, that has not come out that she knew exactly what was going on in the hallway. I believe she did. And I believe she said use the back exit, the way that she comes in, the way that the court reporter comes in, the way that anybody who works in that court. And let me tell you this also, for years, I spent years in court with my ex, and more times than not, I was allowed to go back through the back entrance. So this is not an anomaly. This is just not something that never ever happens. Because as a victim of abuse and my abuser was in that courtroom, I had judges that would allow me to come in and out of the back. So we would never be in the same space together. So for her to say, you know what, all the charges are dismissed against you, safest way is for you to go back, out this way, go out that door versus that door. So yes, Alex Padilla. Alex Padilla is the second Congress member that they have tried to. Now, he was not arrested. He was not formally arrested. He was not jailed. He was not, I don't think he was even taken anywhere. I don't think he left the location. However, everything else did happen, and we've seen that. That's on video. So for this woman to lie, this puppy killer to lie, immediately tell a lie that he did not identify himself, and she thought it was just a man that was charging at the podium and yelling loudly. She knew who the hell he was. She knew who he was. So moving right along, what else did I want to talk to you about? Oh, apparently ICE is almost broke. That's the news that's coming out today. ICE is almost broke, and they are currently $1 billion. Get this, they are already $1 billion over budget for this year. We are only in June, folks. We are in June, and they are already $1 billion over budget. So, and we know why. We know why, because they're getting bounty hunters. They're hiring, in my opinion, I don't know this to be sure of facts, but they're hiring Proud Boys, 3%ers, all these random folks. They're hiring to go out and to add, because they don't have enough members of Homeland Security to do and to execute what I believe, not only this Felon 47's administration, but the Heritage Foundation and the White Christian Nationalists and all these groups want him to do. In order to ramp up to $3,000 people, civilians per day, they're going to need more money. And guess where that money is? You guessed it right, it's in that big bullshit bill. More money is in that big bullshit bill. So keep your eye out, because this push is not just about taking money away from, taking insurance away from folks. This push is also to continue to fund the icy folks in Homeland Security. And yes, if the big bullshit bill is passed, that will give them an extra $750 billion to rip families apart again, to take fathers, yesterday was Father's Day, to hunt more fathers and deport them and send them away from their children. $750 billion in the big bullshit bill. Well, that money will go into Homeland Security and the icy folks. So we have to continue to push our senators against this big bullshit bill, not just for the Medicaid and Medicare, not just for the health insurance. There's a lot of shit in this bill that should not, number one, shouldn't be in there, but number two, should not be passed. Why is AI in a bill that is about health insurance? Why is money for ripping families apart in a bill for health insurance? These are the questions we need to be asking ourselves. And don't forget, do not forget those $42,000 bonuses that's part of this $750 billion for icy agents. And I don't know what the criteria is. I don't know how many people they have to capture per day to get that money, but $42,000 bonuses is what they are proposing out of tax dollars. This is our money. This is our money going to fund this bullshit. And you should be pissed off about it. You should really be pissed off about it. So I'm going to wrap up here. I didn't want this to be too long. These are just some of the high points or the key points of things that happened last week and over the weekend. And again, kudos to every single person who participated in the No King's Day parade. I'm sorry, protests. I keep getting it mixed up with little Tink Tinks parade. But yes, the No Kings protest. Kudos to everybody that participated in that. That is only the beginning. Keep your eyes open, stay woke, and keep your ears to the street, because more pushback is to come. We have to continue to be consistent in our resistance. We cannot let up. We cannot let up, because you see every time he gets a window or every time he gets pissed off, he tries something else. He pushes something else. He tries to accelerate each and every time. And we've got to push back even more than we did the last time. We got to resist and do not comply even more than we did the last time, because we've got to continue to provide that resistance. Because when he gets pissed and he's embarrassed, his little ego gets shattered. Understand that something is going to come towards us. So last things I'm going to say, that there were fathers, I want you to keep this in mind, there were good law-abiding fathers that were hunted and deported over the weekend. And we've got to be our brother's keepers. There are people, there are Palestinians that are starving in Gaza. That situation has not gotten any better. It's worse. Day by day, it's getting worse. Children are skin and bones. And the last thing I want to say to you, I want you to all just pause for a moment. Just pause for a moment. And I want you to think. I want you to think of, if you heard of or you know of any country in the world that is in conflict right now, that is being led by a woman. Ask yourself that. Any country in this world, is there any country in this world right now that is currently at conflict, or their way of governing, their democracy is at risk? Is there any country that you can think of or name that is in that condition, or dealing with the bullshit that we're dealing with right here, that is governed by a woman? I think I've made my point.